What's up, everybody? I'm Terrell.
I'm Tiara Leanne.
And I'm Tawan.
And you're about to be
Rewired.
As you know, we always start every episode with a mental health check-in. The purpose of that is to kind of normalize this process where we checking on each other verbally and we not assuming that everybody is okay, because that may or may not be the case. So I'm going to start it off. Mr. Tawan, I always ask Tiara first. I ask you first. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling amazing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing to complain about. I'm feeling encouraged. I'm feeling energized and ready to face the rest of the week.
That's what's up.
Okay.
How are you feeling, Miss Tiara?
As for me, I've been feeling a little chilly lately, but it's all right. I don't like the little weather change.
Okay, you trying to get over the weather
I'm trying
change.
to adapt to the weather, but other than that, I'm a chameleon, so it don't really bother me.
How are you feeling today, Terrell?
I feel pretty good, man. I feel like I'm excited about some of the new things that I got going. I don't like to look too far ahead because I'm always dealing with something in the present, but I'm excited about some of the things that's up and coming.
That's good.
Cool.
So today our topic is on mental health surrounding the LGBTQ community. We want to highlight some great points and just give our overall perception and perspective on this particular population.
Definitely, and I think, now I don't know for sure, but I've had a lot of experiences working with this particular population, and I don't want to call myself an expert, but I'm getting there.
You got some experience.
I got some experience.
This ain't your first rodeo.
Hey, I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. But I got some tools in my toolbox that I think has helped some of my clients in the past that I think may help some clients in the future. So
that's what's up. Yeah, I feel like the LGBT community and the mental health community have similar struggles just because we deal with some similar things like stigma, like stereotypes, like people not really taking the time to give it its just due and figure out some of the underlying issues, you know what I'm saying, that group might deal with.
Definitely. It reminds me, honestly, of some of the work that I've done with this particular community. And one of the things that I had to rewire my thought process to understand is that one thing that I think is overarching topic is trauma. I went and I was fortunate enough to work with a group of LGBTQ individuals, right? And the first thing that happened was it was like an informal question and answer session where they was asking me a lot of questions about mental health.
Definitely.
And they was asking me how mental health can be beneficial in general and how it can be beneficial to their community in particular. And so through this question and answer session, I was able to enlighten them as to some of the similarities. And that back in the day, homosexuality was actually in the DSM as a diagnosable disorder. Now we know better than that. And one of the main things that we start off with, typically myself personally, is separating the person from their sexuality.
Exactly.
I think a lot of times what happens is whether you are homosexual or heterosexual, you start to base your whole identity on your sexual identity.
Exactly.
And your sexual identity is something that exists independently from, or should exist independently from, how you feel about yourself as a person as a whole. So that's some of the things that I typically start off with. And it's been successful for me and with my, work with some of my clients in the past.
Definitely. Have you had any experiences working with some LGBTQ clients?
Well, my clients that I work with, a few of them are part of the population, but my experience with dealing with the population has been as a whole. Just, I have friends that's a part of the community. I have family members that's a part of the community. I know people personally that's a part of the community. So with that being said, I actually know someone who committed suicide. And to me, the biggest point that I would like to raise is for us to become a little bit more educated and for us to stop the prejudgment. A third of the population who commit suicide are heterosexual, bisexual, or queer men. It's not even men and women. This is mostly surrounded by men. And with that being said, I think it's the lack of support. Like I was saying about the whole Dave Chappelle thing, my take on that is everybody has an opinion. No matter what population you're from, the black community, white population, the short hair population. When I say that, I say that we all have something uniquely different about us that sets us aside from norms. Definitely. Regardless, like having tattoos, that's not normal. Definitely. That's not a part of social norms. It's becoming, and that's just like the LGBT community. We're becoming more accepting to that population, and we're becoming more accepting to it because it's a lot of people who have chose to live their lifestyle like that, and B, it has been unfortunately a lot of situations where people have been facing backlash about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's turning on them because they're being so vocal and judgmental about it. It's a lot of people like my clients. I done had clients tell me, wow, before they even get into a conversation, people are prejudging them, don't even want to talk to them, don't want to look at them, just because they identify as a certain type, whether it's LGBT or Q. Yeah. It's like from the moment you see them, you make this prejudgment. Yeah. And that's the thing that we have to get rid of in our community. Yeah. I say educate each other about it and come to some type of understanding.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that, and that's been my experience too. Just to piggyback off of what both of you all said, I think that most of the time when I'm dealing with somebody from the LGBTQ community, I might not be able to deal with their I might not be able to speak to and understand their sexual preference. Mm-hmm. But I do understand being marginalized. I do understand being prejudice, a victim of prejudice, a victim of discrimination. Mm-hmm. I do understand somebody feeling like they know me before they had a conversation with me. So I can speak to that point, that part of it.
Definitely. I want to talk about this activity that I did with the population of people that we're talking about now that allowed me to kind of rewire my thought process and gave me a few more tools to kind of understand some of the things that they deal with. Mm-hmm. We did this little activity where it was entitled Childhood Trauma. Okay. Everybody wrote something on a little piece of paper and put it on a bulletin board. Mm-hmm. We went around the room. When it was your turn, you went to the bulletin board, picked off your piece of paper, and explained why that pertained to you and your life, right? And I'd kid you not, it was probably at least 90% of them who experienced some trauma early on in development. Mm-hmm. Some of it was like atypical sexual behaviors. Some of them were victims of molestation. Mm-hmm. And some of them was the traumatic experience was just feeling different than everybody else. It may not have been like an actual thing that happened to them, but feeling like I don't fit in, feeling like, right, I'm not accepted. My own parents don't understand me or accept me. That's traumatic in itself sometimes.
And that brings me to, sorry to cut you off, but that brings me to what you just said about the diagnosis. And not saying that it's a disorder at this moment, at this present time, but in the past it was. I don't know if people know that or not. But of anything, I feel like it is trauma. A lot of people were victims of or assault. And I feel like most importantly, a lot of people in the community, they are experiencing depression.
Definitely.
Hello, like anytime that you are feeling like you're not accepted, or like people are disowning you, people are looking at you, making fun of you, bullying you, you're gonna feel depressed. You're gonna feel like, life is not worth it, or whatever the case may be. But that's why I say it's a deep decision. It's a tough decision that we have to make as Americans, because in other countries, they teach that in school. They have classes about LGBT community, the community. But here in America, they don't, unfortunately.
I think we've made some progress recently, but I think it's important to realize that we came a long way in a short amount of time. You know what I'm saying?
And we got a long way to go.
And we got a long way to go. And I think that a lot of the members of the LGBT community can remember a time when it wasn't so accepting, and when they dealt with a lot more discrimination and a lot more negative feedback from society as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
But I think, like Tierra said, the main rewire that happens is, like you said, the more you understand about a population, a group of people, anything that you can't identify with personally, the better you can help to bridge the gap between what's happening now and what needs to happen.
Exactly.
So for me, being immersed in that culture, being welcomed in as an outsider, helped me to understand and to work with the clients that I currently have and hopefully future clients.
That's great. I love that. And that brings me to my example. Like I said, it's a lot of going back and forth, but we are making progress. But my example is this. Let's say we had a room full of people. In this room, it was a baby, it was a woman, and it was a gay man, and let's say a white man, 2 Mexicans, and let's say
A Chinese person.
a rock star.
A rock star.
Out of all of these people, they're meeting in this room, right? And they don't have any time on their hands. They don't have anywhere to go. They just sitting in this room, let's say for 30 days. And by the time they get out of this room, I feel like they've talked and they understood and they learned something from one another that can carry them for the rest of their life. And by the time that they get to the point where they see these people, they grow a little bit more of comfort. I think it's the comfortability that people really have an issue with. And we don't want to address it, but that's really what it is. A lot of the bullying and a lot of the stereotypes and the stigmas behind things have something to do with comfortability.
Let's take it a step further, because what we was told to do, I like that example. What we was told to do in graduate school is, when you don't understand a culture, you have to become fully immersed. Don't just talk to one or two. Go to the community where you the only non-person.
Whatever.
And you're gonna come out a little bit
come
more
out with
educated,
a different understanding
and a different perspective. But if you never talk to this person and you just prejudge them and decided that, okay, I'm not gonna deal with you because you look this way or you talk this way or you walk this way, then 9 times out of 10, you going through life kind of ignorant towards that population. You get what I'm saying? People can
what
look.
do you need to do if you feel that way?
You need to rewire.
Please. I feel like this is a population that is underserved. I feel like the more people that will come out and advocate for fair treatment, advocate for understanding, advocate for becoming fully immersed so we can understand other populations and cultures, whether it's the LGBTQ community or whether it's a different race, nationality, religious affiliation. If you want to understand somebody that's different than you, you have to
Rewired.
I wanted to play devil's advocate. Can I play devil's advocate real quick?
Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because we talked about something off air that I feel like is important that will further any movement, not just this movement. I'm going to use the example first of being stereotyped by the police. A lot of times that's the example that we was talking about. A lot of times we are stereotyped by the police based on the color of our skin, but the first thing that somebody is going to ask is, were you breaking the law? Because if you was breaking the law, it kind of takes away from your argument that you was being stereotyped or treated a certain way. So I would caution against the same thing in this movement. Make sure that you're being socially appropriate and doing the things that everybody else have to do, following the rules, because sometimes we use our sexual preference as an excuse to break the rules. And that kind of takes away the steam from the movement, because it is a lot of people who treat you different based on your sexual preference. But a lot of times people are treating you like the norm, and that's all we can expect, is to be treated like everybody else, to be equal, because equality is what we're looking for, right?
Definitely.
So a lot of times the standard is the standard, and they say, somebody might say, okay, it's because I'm homosexual because I'm being singled out. But you have to make sure that you following the rules first, and then you can figure out if it is truly the fact that I'm homosexual, or if it is truly that I'm just breaking the rules.
Definitely, definitely. And so we got a lot of people who still struggle with this concept.
And
So-
that's what they should do. Get you a therapist. Not get rewired.
Oh, I was ready to get rewired.
No, just based
I was
off
ready to
of,
hit y'all
like you
rewired.
said, this particular subject, this particular population, it is being overlooked, and it's a lot of subjects that's been swept under the rug. So if you or somebody you know are out there and want to talk about these things and need some type of professional counseling and guidance, feel free to hit us up and get you a
Definitely.
therapist.
And yeah, that's a perfect segue. I wanted to say that too, because it's just like any other marginalized group, just like any other stereotype group, we deal with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, the suicide rates are up. So we want to take, here at Rewired, we preach a proactive approach as opposed to a reactive approach. So when you are dealing with those things, and you definitely do need to get yourself a therapist.
Definitely. And for those of y'all who don't want to get on board, don't want to support the LGBTQ community,
Okay.
They need to be
Rewired.
rewired.